Hey guys, it's Bob. Welcome back to Modern Life for the 70s Mind and Bob's Cabinet of Curiosities. If by chance you are new to this channel, please subscribe below and also click the notification icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I release new content and you'll stay up to date on everything that I'm putting out. If you're interested in just the Cabinet of Curiosities, there'll be a link for that on my YouTube channel. Under playlists, you'll see both just Cabinet of Curiosities and reaction videos. That way you can see one or the other. I used to combine the two into one video, and that created confusion. That was a bad idea on my part. And some people just wanted to see the reactions. Some just wanted to see the curiosities, so I split them up. What I'm going to be showing you today is one that I've actually gone over on an earlier video. But in my attempt to completely separate everything, I'm going to go ahead and redo this one. That way, if you're looking just at curiosities, you'll be able to go into that playlist and find this and not have to follow through on a reaction video as well. So what I'm going to be showing you today was big in the 70s. I grew up loving 8-track players. And in my car, that was like the thing. Every bit of music I had put on 8-track tape. I've gone over 8-track tapes in an earlier video, so if you're interested in that, I actually go over 8-track tapes and things that kind of look like 8-track tapes and things that people thought were 8-track tapes but were not necessarily 8-track tapes. But in what we're going to be talking about today, we are talking about 8-track tapes. At some point, I realized, I think first from my brother, because he had said something like, oh, look at these cassettes. These are way better than 8-tracks. But I was die hard on the 8-tracks, and I just refused to switch over. Eventually, as more and more albums were released, it was harder and harder to find them on 8-track. And to be honest, the cassettes probably sounded a little better. The problem was I was living on a very limited budget at the time. And my car had an 8-track player in it. So how do you play an 8-track? How do you play a cassette on an 8-track player? Radio Shack had an answer for that, and that's what I'm going to show you today. It was called a Stereo Cassette Adapter. I actually have the original box of this. And this one actually sold for $34.95. So back in the day, this was not a real cheap purchase. This was kind of a, I don't want to say a luxury item, but it was a fairly expensive item to purchase. So here's what they look like. I took it out of the box. I wanted to show you. This was the Stereo Cassette Adapter. I'm wondering how many of you have had one of these. You would have only had them if you were like a diehard 8-track person and were eventually convinced to switch over to cassettes. So if you look at like this part, it looks like an 8-track tape. And it would have a magnetic head here, I guess. It's not the head, but it was a reader. And what you would do, you would actually slide this into the 8-track player, and then this portion would stick out the front of the player. You had to be careful. Some cars just didn't work out right, depending upon the design of the dashboard. They either fit or they didn't. I know I had a friend who wanted to use one of these, and it just didn't fit right. So what you would do, you would put this in, the head of the 8-track would hit here, and as it would play, it would then transfer the music to the 8-track. So what you would do is you would hit the eject button, that popped this up, you would stick the cassette in there, slap it down, and hit play. It was pretty easy. And like I said, what it would do, it would take this sound and would transfer it to this, which would then hit the head of the 8-track player, and you'd be able to play the music that way. They were a little iffy, I'll be honest with you. The speed on them wasn't always 100% consistent. I don't remember if this one was real good or not. I know I had one that was just horrible. You'd be playing the cassette and be like, it was bad. And I know I got rid of it. I want to say this was the good one that I had, and it played quite well. Again, this is a realistic brand, so it came from Radio Shack. And back in the day, anything electronics, you would go to Radio Shack. So this thing was great. Now, as with all 8-track players, once in a while when you stuck the 8-track in, it wouldn't fit right, and the sound would not be perfect. So you'd have to stick like a matchbox or a matchbox, right? No, what are they called? Matches, a book of matches. Thank you. I don't smoke. I never really did, so it's not anything I use. But you would stick a book of matches kind of in there, and that would change the direction of the 8-track so it would play properly, so you didn't get multiple tracks playing at the same time. The same actually held true for these. I remember a few times, depending upon the 8-track player that this was put into, I'd have to wedge something in there to make it sound right. But eventually you got good enough to know what size matchbook you had to stick in there to make it sound good, and it got pretty easy. Oh, the joys of living in the 70s. Like I said, the sound was okay, as long as you can get the speed consistent. I think it lost some. Obviously it would. But you were talking the 70s, and it was more about volume than it was perfect sound back then. So I had I don't remember the amplifier I had, Maxell, or no, that was tape. Some amplifier I had, and had my Jensen coaxial speakers in the back, and I could crank those things. So it played pretty loud. As long as I had the volume, I really didn't care that much about the sound. So I cranked out a lot of Aerosmith and Ted Nugent and all those guys through my stereo. And I'm sure I did on this as well. So anyways, this is it. This is what I want to show you. I found it all really interesting now. I didn't find it all that interesting back then. I almost was annoyed that I had to use this back in the day because I really liked my 8-tracks. But ultimately, I did switch everything over to cassettes, and I made peace with the cassettes. All right, guys, that was it. I hope you enjoyed that. It's kind of fun to look back on old things. So if you like this, please click the like button below, and please subscribe to my channel if you have a chance. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. I'll have other items. I got piles of stuff here I can go through for my curiosities, and I'll be excited to show those to you, okay? All right, peace out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good. Bye-bye.